Guys, welcome to Chapter 1, Accounting and Business. Glad to have you here and looking forward to giving you some really exciting information to give you the best foundation possible to have you do well in the class. So let's begin. All right, so we're going to start with what are the basic functions of business. Now, here's what I would like you to do. I would like you to stop the video at this point, and I would like you to write that question in your notebook. Reason being is that I'm going to essentially answer that question in the next several slides, and I would like you to take some outstanding notes so that you can share that information and your insights into college accounting with your peers in class tomorrow. So, one of the basic functions of business is marketing, and I know you, or most of you, are familiar with what marketing is. And as this nice young man who has been branded shows, it's all about products and how to sell products, where to sell products, how to get the products to that location, and what price to charge. Pretty exciting area. So that's one of the basic functions. The second basic function is human resources. Human resources is all about people. If you're in the human resources department at a company or even in our school district, you determine what the jobs are that are required, where to find people to fill the jobs, how do you pay them, and how do you reward them. Okay, so that's the second business function. The third business function is production and operations, and as the picture shows, I mean, it's about making stuff. It's about planning, directing, controlling, evaluating manufacturing operations to determine whether they are efficient or inefficient. Okay, so that's number 3. Number 4 is finance. Yeah, and as you would expect, finance is all about money and how to get money, which is referred to in business sometimes as capital, C-A-P-I-T-A-L. It's all about how do you raise capital, so you can get money to operate your business, and what should capital be used for? Where do you invest it in your particular business? Okay, 4 down, 1 to go, and that last one is accounting and information systems. Accounting, is the language of business. Whether your business is located in India, China, France, Spain, Canada, US, everybody accounts for their business. And essentially what that means is the accounting function provides information that's useful to people in the business as well as people outside the business. Okay, so you've essentially answered that first question. What are the basic functions of business? Let's move on to the second question. And I'd suggest you stop the video here and you write down this particular question. How do the basic functions use accounting information? And then we'll, when you start it back up, we will provide the answers. Okay, so how does marketing use accounting information? Well, it's all about keeping score, right? It's basically the numbers that you need to run a marketing function. function. What could some of those numbers be? Obviously, things like pricing, things like distribution costs, how much you pay your salespeople, and things of that nature. Other kinds of uses of information, for instance, in the human resources function, you would capture information relating to pay, how much you're paying your people, how much the benefits you give your people cost, such as health benefits, and how much does it cost you to hire somebody. When you have to hire a new employee, it's a pretty big deal. Okay, in production and operations, that's a big one. That relates to things like the cost to make your product. If you don't know what the cost of your product is, you're going to have a hard time determining whether you're actually making any money. And then last but not least, in the finance function, you would be concerned about how much it costs to borrow money, the interest rate that you're paying, and you try to quantify in the finance function the benefits expected from using that particular money. Okay, so you've got another question answered. We're ready to move on to the next one. The next question we're going to answer in the upcoming slides is, how has a business evolved, or how has business evolved? Okay, so again, I suggest you stop the video, write down that question, and then we will get rolling. Okay, glad you're back. The first one, in terms of how business evolved, is something called the sole proprietorship. And if you took Introduction to Business, you'll probably remember that term. A sole proprietorship is essentially a lone ranger. One person owns the business. Okay, and that evolved later to what was called a partnership. And essentially, a partnership is just what it says. It's two or more owners. You, your buddy, go into business, or you and two of your buddies go into business, and you are partners. And depending upon the partnership agreement, will determine how profits are distributed. Okay, and then it eventually had evolved to a corporation. And a corporation is just a way to do business where there could be many owners. And very large companies typically are corporations. Here's a stock certificate shown in this particular image of the Walt Disney Company. And that is actually how their stock certificate looks, which is kind of cool. Okay. Now we're moving on to what are the 5 basic elements of accounting. Now, there are some important concepts that you need to jump on here. The first is assets. That is a basic element of accounting. And again, this is terminology you may or may not have heard before. But an asset is something that you own, meaning that you have the right to use that particular item or resource and use it to make money. Okay, what's the second one? Liability. Liability is pretty much what it says. You are liable, meaning that you have an obligation to pay somebody something or do something for somebody. You're transferring either your money or your time, in terms of goods or services. So something that you owe someone. Okay, then we got a big one here. It's a mouthful. Owner's equity. Owner's equity basically says how much do you owe, and how much cash do you have in the business? and basically it is the obligation to transfer the net assets to the owner. So if the owner sold the business, that's basically what the owner would get. Okay, next is revenues. Revenues is another word for sales. It's how much money you've earned from providing goods and services to people. When you sell something, that is a revenue. And last but not least is expenses. Expenses are amounts of debt that you incur when you are conducting your business. It's the amounts incurred in an attempt to sell goods and services. Okay, guys, so we're at about 11 minutes. I'm going to cut it off here, and we'll pick up on part 2 of this particular chapter. So long.